Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of Stay on Retirement Track. This is Chris Caldwell with Highland Trust Partners. I hope that you all were able to participate on our first episode last month. So we will, just as a reminder, this is a 6 episode track. So we will want you to watch as many of these as you possibly can. These are being recorded. We will have these on our YouTube channel, as well as send the links out to your HR managers. And feel free, these are not just for you. These are for your spouse, your kids, your family, your friends who maybe can benefit a little bit for some information that we share to help you on your retirement track journey. With that, let's get started. This is the disclosure page we always have to share with our whenever we do a presentation. So I just want to take a couple minutes to have that up in front of you. And then we'll jump into what we're doing today, which is how do you know if enough is enough? This is probably the number one question I get from participants in savings plans, retirement plans, or just people on the street or friends in general. Am I putting enough money away? How do I know if that is, I think I'm doing pretty good, Chris, but I don't know if that's enough. Is it? I'm going to talk a little bit about what really goes into that. And just to let you know, it is not a magic number. Everybody's looking for a magic formula number that's going to give them, I have to have this in order to be successful in my next endeavor in retirement years. And it's really not that. There's a little bit more that goes into it. So I want to spend some time on that with you. And then these are the other 4 episodes we're going to have over the next several months. So again, I hope you can join us for any of those. If you have questions though on this today, I'd have the chat room turned off. So I'll have a slide at the end that gives our email address, phone number, and of course, if you know how to reach us, please do that, and we will get you answers as best we possibly can. So take some notes as you watch this for sure. So how do you know enough is enough? It depends. It really depends on a lot of things. It depends on your income, that you're going to be able to pull in retirement years. Where is it coming from? What sources? How much is it going to be? It's going to depend on your expenses that you're going to have to pay when you are retired. It's going to depend on that inflation rate to those expenses. We're all going to have a different one. So this is why when we say it's customized and personalized to your household based on these factors. In particular, when we talk about things like genetics for your health and longevity, what does that look like for you and your spouse? It's going to be different for you than me and mine. Your lifestyle and your risk to health. Are you doing things in retirement years? Are doing things that in that stage that's going to put more risk on you? Are you doing more things today that's going to put higher risk on you? Some of that may be habits such as drinking, smoking, what you eat, not exercising, doing that. Some of the things may be mountain climb. I ride mountain bikes. I like to hang glide or skydive, or So a lot of that has to do with what our future is going to look like, how we live today, and how we expect to live our lives in the future. It's going to depend on our level of family support to and from. Are we in a situation where we're going to be dependent on anyone? I really hope not. I hope we can help you do things as you're working now to not be in that situation later. And are there people in your family that you're going to have to support even when you're in retirement? So I know people who are in their late 60s who still have parents that are living that they have to help because their parents don't have enough money for their care in their retirement years. And I know people who are retired that their kids who are probably then in their 40s and maybe even 50s that still need some assistance, maybe going through something in their life that they need their parents to help them with. So is that a risk to you? We'll talk about communication a little bit later. And a big one is the ability to adjust. Are you too rigid in what you do today in your savings or in your preparation for the future that you're not willing to make adjustments, willing to be maybe coached by someone else? Or maybe in those years, are you too rigid in your thought process that you can't do things that are going to basically maybe stretch your money a little further, or make sure that you're going to be, you and your spouse and your family are going to be taken care of as you age? So we're going to talk a little bit about each one of these, not too in depth. That way, again, we don't take all your time today, and that but you will have additional questions, I'm sure. So again, feel free to reach out to us. So most of us have seen this retirement income pyramid before, and these are basically the different levels of places that you that some retirees can pull money from to support their lifestyle. Of course, we all need income in retirement because we're all going to have expenses. So where's it going to come from? Social Security obviously being one of those for many of us. Don't get it. What are those savings have we socked away, and what type of accounts are they in? What retirement plans do we have? We're probably on this call today because of the 401k plan that you have at your business, or 403b. Do you have either of those, a Roth, an IRA, some annuity retirement account somewhere? What can they do for you in the future? You need to know that as soon as possible. Corporate pensions have pretty much gone away. Of course, we're still public ones, TRS system or other education retirement systems have pension plans for their teachers or administrators or professors. Public service workers, whether it's local, state, or federal, many of those have pension opportunities. Local police, firefighters, of course, do. So what is that going to do for you? Are there any gaps that you're going to need to make up from what that pension is going to pay you in the future? I put inheritance in there because I don't say that's necessarily what we need to count on as far as a retirement plan, but I have clients whose parents have told them this is money that we've set aside, whether you're a beneficiary of a life insurance plan or some other money they've earmarked directly to you, or maybe some land that's going to go directly to you if they're passing, and they're not going to use it for their lifestyle. So that may be something we want to put in the picture as well. Lottery is kind of a joke, but I do have people say, I hope to win the lottery, but it's going to pay for my retirement. I'm hoping people playing the lottery is doing it more for fun and enjoyment than it is anything to do with part of their retirement planning, because it's not a very sound method to do that. Children are in here. Again, I think for most of us that have kids, me being one, I never want my kids to have to give me $1. I'm hoping that never, ever happens. I'm doing enough for us as a family, as a couple, that we don't have to rely on our kids to ever have to come out of pocket for anything. But there are plenty of people who do. So it's just knowing where your kids are and where they stand. Just like talking to your parents about inheritance, talk to your kids about, let them know, hey, we're okay. We've got plenty of income going to come in. We're covering our expenses really easy. We got plenty of savings. We got plenty of insurance. You're never going to have to help us. Or the case may be like, we've done the best we could, but we're behind possibly a little, particularly if I have a healthcare event down the road. And just want to make you aware, because guess what they have to do? They're now going to have to start the savings planning process for retirement to factor in possibly help and support you a little bit. So it's just a great family conversation, sometimes uncomfortable, but I've always said openness is better than a surprise later. So the next thing, why do we earn income? Well, because we got to pay expenses, and these are going to follow. Many of these are going to follow us into retirement. So this is a study that was put out in 2021 by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it basically is showing from 2020, 2021 that the average American household spends about $61,000 a year in these different expenses on average. You're not going to have all these. You're going to have more. So some of you are going to have more. Some of you are going to have less. So this is just a broad brush. This is why I say it's personal to you. It's not something that's just going to be this is the number we all got to count on. That's not true. We need a budget. I preach a lot about people keeping a budget, not so they learn to penny pinch, not so they have to track everything penny by penny, dollar by dollar, but because I want them to understand and learn what they spend their money on, and start to analyze, sometimes with a coach, what's going to follow them into retirement years. This also helps determine inflation numbers. So we can look at where people are spending the most of their money today and following in the future, and that has its own inflation number than something else. Not everything inflates at the same thing. So, inflation is a big talk over the last year in the media, which it should be, but that number that's thrown out as an average inflation number, it doesn't hit us all at that number. Sometimes some of us have higher inflation already than that. So that's an average. But it's good to know where we stand. So keeping a budget helps us determine where we stand, because we can then more accurately, we'll never hit a bullseye with this, but we can more accurately say, these are the kind of expenses you're going to have. So we can determine income that you're going to receive from those sources on that pyramid will cover this percentage, and we're going to have a gap that needs to come from additional savings from 401ks and other types of things. So, but that's a thing people don't spend as much time on. They focus more on the income and they focus more on the savings level, but they don't think enough about trying to understand what their expenses look like as far as what's going to into the future. So a major expense, and some of this is calculated on that sheet before, but a major expense is healthcare. So this is a 2018 study by Fidelity. It's a little aged, but it still holds true today, and actually it's higher today, that the average couple will spend in excess of $280,000 during their retirement years on these things, such as Medicare premiums, co-payments, deductibles, drugs, vision, and dental. These all, I said Medicare premiums, so obviously everything's not covered by Medicare. Some people think it is, and it is not. Medicare does a great job, but it doesn't cover everything. So people need to understand there has to be a savings level just for healthcare. I like personally to have a bucket or something earmarked, an account just for healthcare. I'm a big believer in HSAs, for example. Not everybody qualifies for one, but if somebody has a high deductible health plan and can qualify for an HSA contribution, I'm all for them putting money in that. In fact, for those who do qualify, one of the things I talk to clients about, participants in 401k plans, is to basically let's fund your 401k plan to the percentage that's going to give you the maximum benefit from your employer. So your employer contribution, do that percentage first. When you hit that max to get that full benefit from your company, then fund your HSA if you qualify. Fund your HSA to its max. Once you hit that one, then you can go back and readdress your 401k and add higher percentages into that for what you put in that account. So it's kind of like 401k, HSA, then 401k again, because it starts to build that bucket. And I don't want them to use their HSA money year over year to pay for things that occur. I would rather them hold that, continue to contribute to it, and build that as a separate bucket for the future in retirement years, just for things like this. And this doesn't include long-term care, folks. So some people see that number and they say, well, I can see it being high because, getting care workers and physical therapy and having, ramp built or a retirement center village costs a lot of money. That's additional. That's additional to this. So that's a whole nother conversation just about how to fund long-term care expenses. Okay. So what does retirement look like for you? Well, it essentially is all these things. But it's personalized just for you. Okay. So, it's because it's different for everybody. So your family history, your family medical history, your longevity, how old did your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents live to? What kind of health risks did they have? Were they, was it diabetes in the family, or things such as that? Are you doing the things health-wise to live a healthier retirement prior to retirement? So I talk a lot about finances with individuals that, getting ready for retirement years, but I also talk a lot about other things to prep for retirement, which is healthier lifestyle to get there, so you don't have maybe as high medical expenses as others do. And that's exercise, eating right, stopping bad habits, doing the things that you're supposed to do or potentially can do, going to visit your doctor like you're supposed to, taking the medications that he or she asks you to take up until that time frame. And particularly while you're on a healthcare plan at work, spend that, there's a lot of extra benefits on those plans that can, give you rewards and things like that to do these activities. Do those activities. Try to hit that retirement age as healthy as you've ever hit it, so that you live a very as healthy as you can long life afterwards to really enjoy it. What's your long-term care probability look like? Did your parents or grandparents have issues with dementia or other things that could qualify for long-term care? That's qualify for long-term care expenses. Do you have the proper savings or maybe an insurance policy that's dedicated to cover your long-term care for you? If not, again, that may be kids' conversations that they may have to help you one day. That happens a lot. Debt, are you fully paid off? Some people carry some mortgage debt into their retirement years. If it's a low payoff balance, that's usually not that big a deal at all. But from what you usually like to say, as long as you're earning income, try to pay as much debt off as humanly possible. Don't enter retirement years with a lot of debt on your books. Your aging parents, again, will you have to come out of pocket to help them in retirement? Talk to them, understand their situation, or that, to see if there's a reason that you need to potentially help them with health care or long-term care or anything else, because they haven't done these things that you need to do or going to do to put yourselves in better situation. Do you have children or grandchildren that could be maybe at risk to have to help them financially later in life? And have the conversations. Don't be embarrassed. Don't let them be embarrassed. Don't make it weird. I mean, just sit down and have good, open, honest communications with both generations above and behind you, to really see if y'all can all get on the same page to help each other if need be, or to make sure everybody's rest assured that mom and dad are okay, grandma and grandpa okay, my son and daughter are okay, my grandkids are okay. So and then if they're not, be able to make those adjustments I talked about earlier. Can you adjust? Are you able to? Are you flexible enough to? Do you need somebody to help you, coach you through that? And understand retirement expenses. We already talked about that a little bit, but what do you really need to think about? What's your inflation number? Where is that going to go for you? And some of that ties into those other bullet points above that too. So the biggest takeaway out of this is that there's no cookie cutter answer. There's nothing you're going to read in a book or see on TV or get out of a magazine or find a formula that's going to tell you here's the exact number that you need to have in retirement and savings. There is. It depends on all those things to you. Some need more, some need less. Let's figure out what you need. If you do need help doing that, you need coaching, you need advice, you need an ear, or you need us to talk. Reach out to us through our website, reach out to us or this email address or phone number. If you see us around your businesses, grab us for a few minutes and see if you can ask a couple questions. We're here to help. Okay. So we can help you take some of that stress off of you, and to help and to answer some questions that maybe you never thought of that can put you in a better spot. My favorite conversation, and I say it over and over again, is and every once in a while it happens, and more lately, thank goodness, is with clients who are refusing retirement, and they are so happy that they went through all this sometimes painful stuff, particularly with open communication with family members they're not really comfortable with, but go through these things, and now they feel like they're living a happy transition into the next stage of their life, retirement, I guess. So because they've done these things, that's what makes what we do in coaching clients the most fun, rewarding experience we can have, because we want the best for you. So with that, I hope you have a great day. And if we can do anything for you, just please let us know. Thank you so much.